Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at Riderflex. We hope you enjoy today's podcast. And as a reminder, please subscribe to the Riderflex show for updates on new episodes. And by the way, if you haven't already, check out the book we recently launched, The Riderflex Guide, Inspiring and Hiring, available for purchase on Amazon. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Cliff Fetner on the Riderflex podcast. Hello, Cliff. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I love the accent. I love that. I love that whole Long Island, New York accent. Were you raised there as a kid? Your mom and dad from there as well?
Yeah, I'm a Metro New York guy, and I'm not sure what accent you're referring to. I hear a lot of Oklahoma in you, big guy.
Yeah.
So I think I hear an accent by you also here, right?
Yeah, it's still there. Still there. It gets worse when I talk to family too, for sure. I slow down even more. When I call back home to Oklahoma, I have to, Colorado's already slow compared to New York, but when I call Oklahoma, it's even a slower speed.
Yeah. So yes, Steve. So I'm a third generation builder and developer, based out of New York Metro. My grandfather and father started, developing in Brooklyn back in the 50s.
Wow.
And they did some stuff there. And then if you're familiar with New York City Metro, we have the Verrazano Bridge, which attaches Brooklyn to Staten Island.
Yeah. Okay.
And prior to the Verrazano Bridge, you had a ferry that would take you from Brooklyn to Staten Island. And so they finished the Verrazano Bridge in the early 60s. And so my family and many others, builders, developers, we all went over Staten Island, at that time, because it was virtually undeveloped, right? Because you couldn't get there easily.
I see.
So we went there, family went there, and we spent almost 40 years developing there, mostly residential, Steve. A lot of single family, two family, some multifamily, a little retail, a little industrial along the way. But basically, I grew up as a little kid on the job site, playing in the little trucks and the equipment. Never really left the dirt. I went to university. I have a degree in economics. Big deal. I put my diploma on the wall, and I bent down and put my work boots back on, and I've been in the dirt ever since. Right?
Why'd you go to Buffalo for school?
That's a different story, but it was a state school, and let's just say that my grades and my ability to do well in school was not a private school was not worth the effort. Let's just go there. And so state school was right where I needed to be. And like I said, a degree in economics and whatever. I put my work boots back on, and that's a very, very short story there.
So you came right back from school and went right back to work for your dad and grandpa in the family business then?
Yeah. At that point, shortly thereafter, grandpa had enough. And then I spent many years in the family business, traveling from, like you said, Long Island to Staten Island on the Belt Parkway. And for those that are familiar with the area, the Belt Parkway really sucked every day on the Belt Parkway. Nonetheless, we did it. And I spent many years in the family business. And then at one point in time, I kind of needed to do my own thing. And so I went to Long Island, born and bred there. And here again, started all over again, mostly residentially based. A lot of single family luxury housing we did, and some multifamily, a little retail along the way. And I always was involved with the builders associations. I always felt, even when I was in the family business, we always got tremendous value from being involved in these trade associations.
Yes.
So, right. So I got involved in it's called the Long Island Builders Institute. And spent many years there, got on the board, did president routine and chairman of the board, did that for many, many years.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, it was 2018, and I had a problem on one of my own job sites. I couldn't get rid of dirt, and there had to be a better way of doing things, right? So Soil Connect was born, right?
I see. And for the listeners, let's take a pause right there. So you're on a job site, you're having to, I guess I'll use the school over here by my house, which they're getting ready to tear down. I noticed that they're having to, I don't know why, I'm not a construction guy, but they're having to take a lot of dirt out of there. And I never really thought of that. And I was thinking about you. I knew we were going to do the podcast, and I was looking over there. I'm like, I never really thought that, like, where to put the dirt or where to get rid of the dirt or how to sell the dirt or whatever. I never like thought of that as a challenge until I saw that. I knew we were going to talk. I'm like, interesting. I wonder how this works. Yeah. So, okay. So like just getting rid of dirt is not that easy, huh? It's not.
Well, okay. So we could talk for 3 hours here. And clearly I know you and your listeners don't want to hear me for 3 hours.
But the short version.
So I'll give you the short version. And so Steve, over 95% of every single job site, either you have too much dirt or you don't have enough dirt.
I can see that. Yep.
Okay. And I use over 95%, and honestly, it's closer to 100, but I don't like using 100. Okay.
All right.
But nonetheless, so every single job site, you need to figure out what to do with the dirt.
Moving it in and out. Okay. Yep.
Okay. And so for 1,000 years before Soil Connect was born, how do we do it? Well, we get on the phone and we call everybody we know.
That's
right?
it. That was it.
Okay. I have memories, Steve, of my dad at nighttime after dinner going into the den and calling who needs it, what, how much, who's moving it. So I have memories of this. Okay. So what has changed in my industry since my father was doing this 50 years ago? Well, not a whole lot has changed.
Not a whole lot.
Okay. The only one thing that has changed is we now have cell phones. We don't need to do it at night. We have the luxury of doing it during the day, right?
Okay. Yeah.
We have evolved so much as an industry, right? We've evolved so much. And so what are we really doing at Soil Connect? Well, we're a platform or a marketplace, right? And we're no different than Craigslist, Airbnb,
Okay.
Zillow, LoopNet, apartments.com, any of them. There's a million platforms out there. You put information out there of people who want to see something of similar interests. I'm doing the exact same thing.
Got it. Yeah.
I'm doing it with dirt and with aggregates. Okay. And so some of my favorite one-liners is we make it quicker, faster, and cheaper to resource and move your dirt, right? But maybe the most significant thing we do, Steve, is we create closer connections. So think about this. So if I only knew 10 guys or 20 guys, and I made a deal with one of them, and I needed to take my dirt 30 miles away because I didn't know any better. But you go on the Soil Connect platform where we are putting everyone and anyone in the dirt business all in one place and at one time. And I find somebody 3 blocks away from me who I didn't know. Well, do you have any idea how much money I just saved?
Right. Yeah.
Because it's the cost of moving the dirt that's the expensive part of it. So if I find somebody closer,
yeah,
win-win. And quite frankly, that is the story of Soil Connect and what actually happened. Okay. But back to what we're doing is, like I said, we're creating closer connections. But my favorite one-liner, Steve, I say it in every opportunity I can. Just think of us as a dating app for dirt.
I like that. There you go. You should put that on the website. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
So,
Yeah, I
so
like
that's
that.
what we really are. We're a dating app, right?
And it does does the transaction and the money exchange happen through the app as well?
Not at this point.
Okay. Okay.
So what we're trying to do is get everybody on the platform. Okay.
Okay.
So moving dirt is local, right? As compared to Airbnb, for an
True.
example.
Right. Yes. Okay.
So I'm in New York City. I want to come to you in Colorado. I go on Airbnb. I see apartments or whatever I find, right?
Mhm.
And I make a choice. In the dirt world, back to the closer connection I want to make. So it's moving, it's local. So we at Soil Connect, our team, we work really, really hard at putting as many people on our platform in an area, a small distance, right?
Yep.
As we can. It's called create density, if you will, so that everyone and anyone who play in the dirt world all see the transparency of who is moving dirt and when they're moving dirt. So that gets you the efficiency that you're looking for in moving dirt.
Which would basically be every construction site happening in the area, because everybody that's building something is moving dirt.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
That's it. They're all moving dirt. How does that work with like third party dump truck companies that move the dirt? And isn't there more? It's not just two people in this connection, is it? Or is it?
Well, that's a really interesting point you bring up.
Okay.
So yes, there are multiple parties to every transaction.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Okay. So in many cases, it depends on how much dirt you need to move and how far you need to move it, right?
Okay. Okay.
But so I'm a builder by trade, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I never owned trucks because that was never my part of the business.
And
right?
most builders don't have dump trucks and stuff, right? That's a third party service. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly right. So with that being said, if you and I connected on our platform and you're a builder and I'm a builder, well then yes, we need to go find a third party to move that dirt.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
But if you are an excavation contractor, you might have your own trucks.
Okay.
So then it's just two parties, me and you.
All right.
Right.
Yep.
So there is no absolute black and white answer to my business about exactly every transaction happens the same way.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
But kind of circling back to your question about transactions, right now, our platform is free. Okay.
And it's a free, like, hey, I'm going to connect you to this guy. You need this guy. He needs you. I'm going to connect you. You sign up for free, no cost. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
And the reason why we do this is because we don't want to create friction. We want everybody on the platform communicating and transacting and saving thousands of dollars. Okay. At a point in time when we feel there's enough activity in any one area and everyone is using the platform the way it was designed to use, that we've now created the value that they won't leave our platform. Okay.
Even if they're paying $100 a month for it or whatever.
$100 a month, Steve, will be nothing in comparison to the multiple thousands of dollars that you can save.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the secret, right? The secret sauce, if you will, is everybody has to be on the platform.
I got you.
And so the couple of one-liners I use for that is everyone and anyone in the dirt ecosystem is on my platform, right? And so who is that? Well, of course, It's the excavation
The
and
excavate. Yep.
moving contractors. They move dirt every day.
Every day.
We also refer to them as the heavy civil contractor.
Okay.
Those are the guys when you're driving around on the interstates and the parkways. They do roads, they do bridges, they do tunnels. We call them heavy civil, is the industry term.
Okay.
And they're our biggest category of user. But interesting enough, Steve, the next biggest category of user is builder, developer, and general contractor. Okay?
I can see that. Yep.
Okay. And the reason, for those listening that not sure why that's the second biggest classification, is because dirt is a very big cost on every single job site. So if you can save money moving it on my platform, then they're absolutely interested in saving those dollars, because that goes directly to the bottom line.
Can I ask you this? This is a very commoner. I'm ignorant to the topic. If I'm doing a skyrise building and I'm having to dig down into the ground and remove a bunch of dirt, am I able to make money by selling that dirt, or it's just a straight up cost for me to get rid of it? I'm just curious.
Great question. The answer is, it depends on the type of dirt it is.
Oh, really? Interesting. Wow. Because it's got certain nutrients in it or something, or?
So certain types of dirt have value to other industries. For an example.
Okay.
For an example, if you're doing a high-rise building, or any building for that matter, Steve.
Okay.
And you have sand. Here in Metro New York, we call it bank run. BANKRUN, bank run. Bank run is sand.
I see.
Other industries need that to produce their products. For an example, how do you make concrete?
I see. Okay. You need sand for that, right?
You need sand for that.
All right.
Concrete companies pay for sand.
Okay. All right.
So if I'm building a house, a school, a skyscraper, whatever, and I have sand, now I'm making money.
How about that? All right.
How about that?
Yeah.
If I have clay, not so much. Not everybody needs or wants clay, right? And so that's why, there is never seems to be a black and white answer for every situation in my world, because it depends on who needs it, when they need it, and how far you got to go get it.
Are you planning on charging a monthly fee to each user, or are you planning on charging by transaction? How do you see the business model going?
Yes, no, and maybe. And what I mean by that is, I don't think we've yet, and when I say we, our team and our investors, I don't think we've come up with a black and white strategy that will happen. I think I can give you a little insight to where we're going, right? And so I would like you to think of the travel business, right? You can go on Priceline.com or Expedia, right? And I need to buy 2 tickets from New York City to Denver. I can buy my tickets, right? I also need a rental car. I also need a hotel. I can do everything on one platform and pay for it, and it'll be done, right? That's where we are going.
That's why the headers on your website say brokerage, marketplace, e-tickets, e-regulator, resources. Okay. I'm with you now.
So that ties directly into our mission statement. One-stop shopping for any and all your dirt needs. Period.
Got it. I see. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Have you raised, did you bootstrap this from your company money and your family money, or did you raise cash from family and friends, or angel rounds, or VC, or PE? How'd you get the cash?
Oh, yes, 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 and no. Yes, I started writing checks,
Okay.
and when I got tired of writing checks, then we did some pre-seed round and a
Okay.
seed round,
Okay.
and we went into the venture world.
Oh,
Um, I said yes, yes, and no because we haven't gone to the private equity guys
all right.
because Soil Connect has not yet evolved far enough for the PE guys to take a serious look at us.
I'm surprised that you signed off on a VC investment. I'm guessing you didn't. Because I don't know. You come from the construction world, like dealing with some of these flashy VC guys. I could see you being like, "Hey, man, fuck off, get out of here." Like, I don't.
Well, okay. So this is a great part, a great time, I should say, to tell you
All right.
the other really interesting thing about me and my family is my son is now in the venture world.
Oh, that's okay. Now it ties together for me. And he's the one on the website, obviously, with you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. Yeah. Now that makes sense because just meeting you for the first 3 minutes and looking at your background, like you telling me that you let some stranger VC guys in the door, like, yeah, that didn't add up for me. But now
Yeah.
I see.
So my son is Daniel, and I love him to pieces. But Daniel never really had an interest in the construction end of my
Okay.
business.
Okay. All right.
Always loved the real estate end of it,
All
but never
right.
really the construction end of it. So he
Hmm.
loves to tell the stories about when I would make him go to work and sweep and clean up on the job sites. He loves to tell those.
So that's what happened. You burned him out because he's like, yeah, I don't want to do this. He's like, I'm not doing this for a living.
Daniel, got his MBA and then went to work for a venture fund called
Okay.
Alpaca,
Gotcha.
ALPA.
All right.
And so he spends his time in the construction tech, prop tech world,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
quite frankly, he makes my. I mean, he has his own job, right? But he is a board member of Soil Connect. But he makes my life as a founder of a startup really easy, because he has all the relationships on the venture side of things.
How about the
So,
tech side? Did he know the people to do the software and build and all that, or who had those
well,
connections?
okay. Well, interesting enough is he kind of got out of school his MBA at literally at the same exact moment in time that Soil Connect was born.
Oh,
And so we've both been learning as we've been going, the kids love to make fun of me. They call me their tech mogul. All of a sudden I'm a tech mogul, right? They love when I don't know how to do something on the computer, they'll go, Dad, you're a tech
you,
mogul now. You
you,
should know
you,
how to do this.
you're a SaaS founder. Like, come on, man.
So so
Uh,
having Daniel being in the venture world, that allows me as a founder to focus on our products, the vision, operations, sales, where a lot of startup founders, whether you're in the construction tech space or any startup, the founder seems to need to juggle all these different things morning, noon, and night. and
mhm.
and spending time in the venture world, it's work, Steve. It's a
Oh,
lot of work.
oh yeah. Are you still doing the construction with Jaco Builders and all that? Are you doing anything else, or are you just like, no, I'm out of everything except for Soil Connect?
Soil Connect 99% of the time. I still have some family assets that we continue to own
Okay.
that I spend some time on, but that we have a manager and take care of all of that stuff. So I'll peek in on some of that stuff. But overall, I'm all in on Soil Connect morning, noon, and night, and it's been a lot of fun.
Can I
It's been
ask you
great.
why? I mean, besides the fact that you saw a need, which was why it was born,
Hmm.
beyond that though, why? Like you're 60, what are you, 60, 60, 61, 62? You're 62, you could probably retire if you wanted to, I'm guessing. Um, your family's got lots of assets, probably got lots of investments, properties, all these things. You've been in the building construction business forever. You could have kept doing it. Like at your age, why jump into a SaaS startup? Like why? Besides the fact that you saw the need, what's the real passion for you to want to do this?
So a couple of things there. There's passion, and then there's experience of previous experience. So as a builder and developer, we all have vision, right? We all see a piece of property, and then we decide what to do with this piece of property. So what do we do? We start with a thought, a concept. We hire an engineer and an architect to help design this concept. Let's just talk about a multifamily opportunity, right? Okay. So see a piece of property, it's zoned for multifamily. I have a vision of what I want it to look like, of who the market I want to serve, and I build it. And then I have the satisfaction of looking and understanding and executing on a vision. Okay. That's Steve, that's the DNA, right? And builders and developers, we all have that same DNA about vision and executing and all of that. Okay, so for me, a couple of things here. My dad retired at 62, Steve.
Okay.
And quite honestly, I don't like what happened to him very quickly after retirement. And so, on a serious note, these podcasts, we have lots of fun, but on a serious note for a minute, and then we'll go back to fun and games. I don't like how he transitioned from an active guy to, what are we going to do today?
Yeah.
And so I can't do that.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Is your dad, your dad, I'm guessing your dad's gone now. Is he passed?
Yeah, dad passed a few years back. And unfortunately, suffered along the way, and that's a different story, right? But the point is 62, my age today, and I don't like how he evolved.
Okay. By the way, you strike me as a very active guy, lots of energy still, and you look like you're in pretty good shape too.
Thank you.
You're on the treadmill every morning. What are you doing? What do you?
Well, interesting. That's a great story. So I became an empty nester when I was 50, right? And so all of a sudden, you don't have kids in the house. And then
what do I do now? Now what do I do
now? What do I do now? And I ended up in the gym, and amazing what happens when you follow instructions and you listen to people, you see results. It's amazing, it is, right? How that happens.
Yeah.
So joking around, but no, that part of the story is all true. Yeah, and then during COVID, interesting enough, I got into cycling, So I have a road bike, and I love to spend time on the road bike, and we go. And cool. And what's interesting about the road bike for any of the listeners out there who do it, yes, it's great exercise, but you know what I like most about it is I don't always have a destination in mind.
Yeah, just go.
Just kind of go. And so, I live in Manhattan, okay? And riding a bike in Manhattan is not the safest thing, everybody. Trust me. However, I try to minimize my risk. I ride at 6 o'clock in the morning. I ride in Central Park. On the west side of Manhattan, there's a beautiful bike lane that goes from lower Manhattan all the way up to GW Bridge. Sometimes in the summer when I can get on the bike at 5:30 in the morning, I ride into Brooklyn, I ride into Queens. Like I said, I don't always have a destination. So it's a lot of fun that way.
Did you know, I'm sure you know this stat, because I'm 55 and I'm trying to, I just saw the doctor the other day. I need to lose 12 more pounds before I'm not officially slightly overweight. Because I'm at 193 and I'm 5'11", and apparently I'm supposed to be at 180. And he told me, he said 70% of the US is overweight. 70%. 40% of the US is obese.
Wow. It's I don't even know that. Look, I'm not.
Yes. What about your? Are you still married?
Yes, I'm married.
Okay.
One wife.
You've been married to the same girl for the whole time.
The whole time.
How many years?
1983, so it's 39 years.
Good for you, man. Congratulations. And you have how many kids you got?
I have two. I have Daniel, which I mentioned before. Daniel's 34, and in the venture world, and he has a little 2-year-old that we call the Dirt Prince. We call him the Dirt Prince.
Are you Papa, Grandpa? What are you?
I'm kind of Poppy.
Poppy. Okay. All right.
And then my daughter is 31 and recently married. So it's all great stuff.
Okay. And what is she gonna do for a living? Is she gonna help with the business? No,
I don't think so. She works for BuzzFeed in the sales department. So she's selling.
I tried really hard to get all of our kids to help with our business. We have the podcast, but we're a staffing and recruiting firm is our day job. That's how we make money. And then we have the podcast on the side. I tried hard to get all 4 of our kids involved, and they're all like, "Dad, I want to do my own thing, and I really don't want to work for you."
How old are your kids, Steve?
They range from 33 to 28. Yeah. And they all, they just, and I'm cool with that. I'm not upset about it. I think it'd be great if one of them, got involved, but they want to do their own thing. And
shit happens, Steve. Things change, things evolve. And I wouldn't write them all off as not ever wanting to be involved.
Yeah. They might come back around. That's very true. Right. Yeah. Very true. Was your, dad, was he tough on you? Was he a tough character? Was he like super demanding type A? And I'm wondering how that translated to, because I think of construction guys as kind of like, pretty like hardcore guys. Like, was it like that for him to you? And then how were you with your kids?
So yeah, dad was pretty hardcore, but I think it's an important note to make here that it's a generational thing.
It is. Yes.
Right. And so that generation, I felt was more hardcore. My generation, me specifically, I'm softer for sure.
Softer. Yes. Softer.
Right. And there are some real stories that I tell, of experiences between my father and myself, and then me and Daniel specific. And so one of my favorite stories is I was probably 25 to 26 years old. I'm relatively new in the business, and my father just finished screaming bloody murder at the carpenter contractor one afternoon, right? And then right after that, he hung up the phone. And this is in the 80s, Steve, right? In the 80s. Yeah. Then we went to lunch because that's what we did back then. And so while we were in the car and I was driving, don't ask me why I was driving, but I was driving. And I said to, I'm laughing now because I still hear him. I said, Dad, maybe you could have handled that a little bit differently. And Steve, that was not a good thing to say. And for 4 or 5 minutes after my statement, he continued to yell at the top of his freaking lungs in a car, right? I couldn't escape about, don't tell him how to handle things. And, I've been doing this for 30 years. You're in the business a day and a half, right? And so I promised myself I would never lose it on my kids like that, the way my dad did to me. Okay. And so here I am. Now I'm the dad, right? And my smart ass kid is telling me things I should be doing. And
Oh,
I stayed true to my promise that I wouldn't lose it on him the way my father lost it on me.
or at
But
least not as bad. Not as bad.
no, I not as bad. But Steve, and to you and to your listeners, it's hard, man. It's really hard. Having your grown-up children now are
Yes.
now in the workforce, and they all of a sudden have something to say.
And they
And
think they know everything.
oh my God, oh my God. They're in the real world 3.5 days, and they have all of this knowledge and all of this experience. And
Yeah.
oh my God, how did I do this all these years before you got here? I don't know how I did this.
It's so funny. I was just, I had both of my grown sons at Christmas time with us, and we're sitting around the table, having some cocktails and just visiting. And they have a little power washing, cleaning business of their own, my two sons together. And,
Right.
you know, something to the effect of, Dad, we don't really, if we need advice, we'll ask you, we got it. We got it. I'm like, okay. All right. Yeah.
That's my point, Steve. That's
Yeah.
exactly my point.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
And
so
it's
good.
hard, man.
It's so good. Like, can I ask you this too? I'm curious, you're gonna laugh about this because it's so cheesy. There's this stigma or this I don't know what the right word is, of the construction business in New York, of how there's all these rough and tough bad guys and deals being made behind the scenes and
You're
all these
watching too many
things.
movies, Steve.
Yeah, I know. I'm that's what I'm saying. I mean, this has all been in the movies, right? I mean, is any of that true or no? I mean, what's the real construction life like in the Northeast?
So on a serious note, that world that you just described has evolved a lot over the years.
Okay.
That this movie persona of what goes on in New York Metro, yeah, it's a lot of it's Hollywood. I'm not going to lie to you, but
Okay.
but at the same time, I'm not going to just tell you it doesn't exist, right?
Okay.
But with that being said, that was in the day. We're now in modern 2023. What
Yeah.
you just described was some not good things happening. I'm not going to lie about it. It's not good things, but that was in the 70s and the 80s,
Okay.
a little in the 90s. But once again, Steve, for you and your listeners, a lot of that's Hollywood, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and a small percentage of that type of behavior, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
has grown into this Hollywood thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay,
That's what I
so
figured. That's what I figured. I was curious. Yeah, that's what I figured. But when I had to ask you, that was one of the questions I wrote down before our interviews. I was like, what's the real story? I wonder if Cliff ever got drug into like a back dark room somewhere and said, no, we got to have this property or anything like that. No. Okay. That's good to know. I guess
not this
good.
guy.
By the way, for the listeners, I want to get this out here, double it back here. So it is soilconnect.com, soilconnect.com.
Right.
If you are a builder, if you are an excavator, who else applies? Anybody that moves dirt, right? Anybody that moves dirt.
Right. So we started with the heavy civil guys, right? And then we went into the builders, right? And then truckers, contractors,
Okay.
landscapers, asphalt guys, foundation guys, quarries, right? Everyone and anyone who play in the dirt is on my platform. Now, the one group that I also add, and believe it or not, is farmers and ranchers.
Moving manure. Yeah. What about moving manure?
Well, okay, we'll get there in a second.
Okay.
So
All right.
clearly, I don't have any farmers or ranchers in Metro New York. Clearly, right?
All right.
But we have activity across the country, in the Midwest, in Texas, in Colorado, and if you own a ranch in Texas, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of acres that maybe you need to fill in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the dirt ecosystem is made up of everyone and anyone who are playing in the dirt. Okay. So I just want to I'm feeling compelled to go to tell you the story of how we got the name Soil Connect. Okay. I'm feeling compelled. I'm thinking you'll love it. So we decide that we're going to do this. And so with family, my wife, myself, my two kids, we get together. Okay, what are we going to call this? And the two kids look at each other and they go, Dad, I think we should call it Soil Yourself. And I said, well, I'm old, but I'm not quite that old yet. And so we agreed on Soil Connect. So
okay, so soil yourself. So yeah, let's talk about. I know living in Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado. I mean, the dairy farms, the cattle farms, like moving manure around to each other is like a huge business, right? Are you going to dabble in that at all, or?
So we did a launch event in Indiana.
Okay. Okay.
And a couple of farmers showed up at our event, and they said, why don't you add manure to your site?
I would.
And I said, that's interesting. And so actually more interesting, Steve, believe it or not, is I will get to that, but believe it or not, there is a platform that's already started to do that. Interesting.
For just farmers and manure. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, maybe there's some merger and acquisition activity. I mean, hey, who knows? That sounds to me like you need to fly out to Kansas and have dinner with that guy.